Hey guys, I'm Doug.
And I'm Taylor.
And today, I have a taser on me. So if I say anything inappropriate, you're gonna get a real show. Today, we're gonna be cooking salmon cakes because in our nutrition app, there's a lot of meals that haven't been photographed yet. And in order to have the company pay for my food, I'm gonna make sure that we cook them and eat them on the company dime. We came to Rehoboth Beach where one of our SOFLETE homies is because he has a spacious and beautiful kitchen with wooden countertops that make you feel like you're in a leather-bound library. Taylor is semi-qualified and she is currently doing all of the dietetics work at Ryan Peters' gym here in Rehoboth Beach. So we asked her to come join us in the kitchen to unfuck all of my poor culinary skills.
Trying to.
I'm going to read the directions to her out of our handy-dandy nutrition app that notably does not have a picture of the current meal. We have laid out everything that's necessary. All right, so this is not good salmon. This is salmon that came from a can.
Well, it's good canned salmon because it had the bones in it, yeah?
I paid the most for it.
For the canned salmon.
Yeah, the look on everyone's face when we opened the can was not one of pleasure. It was not an olfactory treat.
No, but salmon is incredibly good for you though. Very high in omega-3s, which are fatty acids that our body cannot naturally produce, or mostly they are a little less available in our diet. So it's important that you get a lot of omega-3s because omega-6s compose a lot of the American diet. So if you don't have omega-3s in your diet, then the omega-6 is just gonna kind of roll over all of the 3s.
What does that mean for idiots like me?
What does that mean? So you have one enzyme that breaks down omega-6s and omega-3s, and you only have so many of those enzymes. So if you have a bunch of omega-3 fatty acids in your diet, those enzymes go all to the 6s first. If you don't have enough left over and then you still have 3s that need to be broken down, they're not gonna be broken down because they're all used on the 6s, if that makes sense.
What does that mean for me?
You need to eat omega-3s.
For why?
For why? It's a fatty acid that is essential for a lot of things, for your brain function, for fat on the outside of your body, but also your visceral fat, which is inside protecting your organs.
Salmon, even in a can, has good omega-3s?
Yep, it does.
All right.
Same thing.
I'm gonna go on record as saying I've never eaten anything off the meal plan that was bad. We're gonna do a flip-flop.
Cool.
And I'm just gonna tell you what to do this time.
Rock on.
And you can tell me how fucked up I am, and then we'll just all laugh about it later.
Okay.
But your parents won't, because they'll see this and be like, why are you hanging out with that guy who cusses so
like,
much?
who is that? Who's that guy with the
I'm an
mustache?
American hero, Mom. I'm an American hero. So we preheated the oven to 400 degrees.
400.
Did we wash and dry the produce?
We did.
More or less. We like dirt, right? We place the potatoes in a mixing bowl. We have them here. We are going to drizzle with a little olive oil and season with salt and pepper and toss together until well mixed.
Do we have a measurement for how much olive oil we're supposed to use?
Nope, it says drizzle.
Drizzle. Typically, I recommend measuring your oils. The reason being is about a tablespoon. What does this guy say right here? So we have, for 1 tablespoon, 120 calories. If you can't really eyeball a tablespoon, it could easily turn into 2 tablespoons. And if you are someone that is watching your calories, whether you're trying to eat more or less, that's, 120 calories is a big difference, and that can build up and affect your day. So let's say 2 tablespoons.
I'm down. I
You're
feel
down?
like a tablespoon of olive oil is the kind of thing that Paris Hilton worries about throwing up, not something that we should worry about putting on potatoes.
Well, you know what, Doug? It makes a difference.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You didn't know that when you got on this video, I would make light of things like eating disorders.
No, I did not know that.
It's a good thing you're not going to be a clinical dietitian.
Touche. So we're drizzling and mixing. And salt and pepper?
Yes.
Yes. How much?
I don't know how many calories are in salt and pepper.
0. Negligible.
Then you should put all of them on there.
Okay.
Right?
We do need to watch out for our salt consumption though. So
why is that?
Why?
I will say this. From my perspective as like active special operations guy, we've basically been taught to like eat everything that's given to us. And so like salt is negligible because we're sweating and consuming so much water.
Got you.
However, I'm aware that like almost everybody else is not in that kind of like high intensity thing, cares about salt. Why should we care about salt?
Your heart.
What about it?
For one, it can give you high blood pressure, which is also hypertension. Your heart is beating faster and your blood vessels are starting to constrict. Your heart is having to work harder and you're putting unnecessary work on your heart, essentially.
Okay. Well, that's a good answer. What if I'm already hypertensive?
Well,
just from,
then you should probably restrict your sodium levels a little bit. So the RDA, or the recommended dietary allowance for sodium, is 2,300 milligrams. However, the average American consumes about 3,000 to 3,100. So we're already way over. Potatoes are done. Do we put them on a tray or do we set them aside?
We're gonna line a baking sheet with parchment paper and we'll place the potatoes on top and set aside.
All right, set aside.
We set the potatoes to the side.
Same bowl.
Now we are going to cut broccoli into florets, which has already magically been done.
Lovely.
Place them in the mixing bowl. Toss with a little olive oil.
A little. You know, eyeball it this time?
Yeah, let's eyeball it again. They want them to be coated. Then we season them with salt and pepper and we set them aside. And I guess we can leave them in the bowl. Honestly speaking, so when we're putting this, like when we're doing this on potatoes or broccoli florets or whatever, a ton of that oil is getting left in the bowl. Or, I mean, is it getting cooked off too? Or is all of the 120 calories in the 2 tablespoons in the food you're eating?
So oil has a really high smoking point. So when you are cooking with oil, it typically tends to seep into the food versus being cooked off. If you're cooking with water, then the water will evaporate, but oil won't evaporate. Okay. Broccoli is tossed.
Broccoli's tossed. We will now place the potatoes in the oven and set the timer for 30 minutes. Now we're about to take the gross salmon and we're gonna throw it in a mixing bowl. We're prepping salmon patties. We're peeling onions. We're gonna chop off the ends of the onion and slice in half. And then we're gonna dice the onion.
Okay.
We're gonna crack the eggs into a mixing bowl and whisk them. And then we're gonna flake the salmon with a fork. It actually looks much more edible after we've gotten it out of its cylindrical can shape.
Right.
And then we're gonna add the diced onions.
Okay.
We're going to add a tablespoon of Dijon mustard. We're gonna season with salt and pepper to taste, and then add a pinch of garlic powder. As Ryan leaves to go find the taser. I was charging.
Perfect.
The big thing is there's no guidance in this recipe on how many ounces to make a salmon patty in. But
Yeah,
we're
they need to be
basically,
way
I'm
smaller.
assuming that if we're doing 6 meals and 2 salmon patties per meal, that we probably need to do 12 patties.
Yeah, I like that idea much better.
Calculus.
Do you ever weigh your salmon patties?
So that's a really interesting question. I don't weigh shit.
All right.
But I know that weighing food is really popular in the dieting crowd because of the way that we break everything out in the meal plan, which like total weight and while we're cooking. Is it important to weigh the individual patties, or if you break it up, the whole bowl becomes 12 ounces or 12 patties, then we know that we're generally in our macros, right?
Yeah. I think it is still important to weigh, because if you have 2 that look the exact same, they could actually be, 2 ounces different. But
Really?
it really just depends on what your goals are, and if you are, if calories is something that you need to be incredibly considerate of.
In the grand scheme of things, if it's 2 ounces on a salmon patty, right? That's like 40 calories.
Yeah, these are probably like 7 or 8 ounces.
So if it's 2 ounces of difference between patties, I mean, we're really only you're talking 100 calories, right? Is good enough? Or is the 100 calories extra or less that you're not consuming going to really get in the way of like your aesthetic goals?
It's good enough if your goals are very broad. If you have incredibly specific goals, I don't think just good enough is good enough. I think...
When we say incredibly specific, are we talking like figure? Or IFBB, like
Definitely bodybuilding, but also professional athletes. If you have a certain mark that you're having to hit, say you're a professional wrestler and you have to make
lose
weight.
weight.
Yep, or you have to make weight, you know.
You can't just sweat it out?
You can't out-train a bad diet. A lot of people, you know, if they have difficulties gaining weight, they just blame it to their genetics, or they say, you know, I can't gain weight because that's how I'm made. That's not true. There are several different factors that play into your ability to gain weight or lose weight. I think one is genetics, yes. Another is your heritage. So, you know, where are you from? Who are the people before your parents? And lastly is your training and your recovery. That's the one that is in your control. So that's really the only one that you can change. Patties are done. We have 12 total. 2 patties are 1 serving, so we have 6 servings here.
And we're gonna pull the potatoes out to mix the broccoli in. When these go in, then we'll put the potatoes and the broccoli back in together. And the last 15 minutes will wind down and we'll be able to eat and decide whether this is good effort or terrible.
All in the same oven, yeah?
Yep.
Cool.
We are going to add the broccoli to potatoes. I set the timer for 5 minutes so that when the next timer goes off, we're gonna put the potatoes and the broccoli back in with the salmon cakes. And when it's time to take the salmon cakes and flip them, it'll be time to pull out our potatoes and our broccoli. All right, it's time to flip them.
Not
be careful.
too bad.
Yeah, don't be too aggressive. I don't know if they're gonna fall
squeeze.
apart. Yes, ma'am. Oh, they're sticking together a little better.
What? It's kind of like a pancake.
Careful. Yeah,
you
well,
gotta
aggressively.
quickly, not aggressively.
Yeah, right. We're gonna put this back in the oven. As one would expect, my eye about size is not accurate. So we're gonna allow Taylor to dish out the appropriate plating here.
Cool.
But it's easy to pick 2 salmon cakes.
It is.
But how many vegetables is
How many
a
vegetables?
tougher task. So we prepped 2 meals for myself and Taylor, but we also prepped 4 extra meals for during the rest of the week. If you guys plan your meals ahead of time on like a Sunday night and a Monday night, you can generally cook 2 meals at a time, 2 days a week, and you'll have all the food that you need for your major meals across the week without having to cook a ton at lunch or dinner and actually waste a bunch of time prepping food daily.
It's not just time too. Like some of the reasons that we do this is if you don't feel like cooking, but you already have this in your fridge, you're more likely to reach for this than going out to eat or, you know, eating something that may not be as good for you. So when you do have the time, I think it's really important to try to prep when you have the time and the energy because, you know, sometimes you don't. So do it when you can.
If you notice, all of our Tupperware is different, just like in your house. No matter how Gucci your kitchen is, no matter how beautiful your wooden countertops are, you're still gonna be stuck with a hodgepodge of Tupperware. We have plated a meal. We have meal prepped for the week, and Taylor and I are going to see if this sucks. Even after off camera, we just discussed the fact that we're both human garbage disposals and we'll pretty much eat anything. Yeah. So, 2 people who like everything. What's the verdict?
We'll give you our, what we think. Pretty good.
Well, let's see.
Could have chopped onions smaller. Maybe those were a little bit too big because everything fell apart.
I mean, holy fuck. That's actually pretty good.
Not too bad.
How are the vegetables?
The vegetables are good. Broccoli's a little crunchy.
I like that.
Yeah?
Is broccoli al dente?
It can be, I guess. This broccoli is.
I would say more salt and pepper. My heart needs it. But flavor's good. The salmon from a can is a little fishy.
A little fishy.
So if you don't like fish at all, this might not be for you.
Use turkey. I'm just kidding.
Use turkey. Turkey cakes. So in under 45 minutes and under $30, you can have 6 meals to last you all week. We have over 1,000 recipes on the app, and they hit all flavor palettes. If you liked Taylor and I cooking today, stay tuned because there are 141 more recipes that we need photographs of, and I want to eat on the company's dime.